So in 2018, you saw the map that looks like this one before. This is actually a slightly different map. The other one was our resilience rankings. So it was those modeled scores that told you what we thought, how we thought a reef would do in the face of stress based on all those different metrics. This is very specific. This is just looking at the coral cover change that we saw around the island of Saipan in a 6-year period from 2012 to 2018. And the red sites are sites where we lost an incredible amount of coral. You can see there it says the percentage change is 40%. So keep in mind, most of these sites did not have more than 50% to start with. So if you had, say, 50% coral cover on a given reef and you lost 40% of that coral cover, you're actually now down to like 10%. You lost like 80% of your overall corals in that space over this time. And the reason why we lost all these corals, it actually wasn't because of pollution. It wasn't because of people overfishing certain sites. It was almost all related to coral bleaching. And if you're not familiar with coral bleaching, it's warm water, essentially, sitting on corals for an extended period of time. And corals have a really important relationship with an algae that lives within them called zooxanthellae. And the algae provides photosynthetic energy to the corals, and the corals provide protection and nutrients for the algae. And when things are good, corals are beautiful and colorful and growing, and the algae has a great relationship with them. But when things get too hot, the chemistry gets kind of screwed up inside of the animals, and free radicals start to get formed, and the algae becomes a toxin basically to the corals, and the corals kick them out. So you go from very colorful corals that have all these zooxanthellae within them that provide all this color and important energy and stuff, to white reefs. And that those really white reefs, which you may have seen in movies and other photos and stuff, they can be beautiful, chillingly beautiful even at times, but they're actually a sign that the reef is probably going to die. So we had 3 different episodes from that first resilience survey we did in 2012 until 2018 of bleaching. And in 2017, we had just a massive bleaching event here in the Marianas. We estimate that we lost almost 90% of some of our species of branching corals. So what you see here on the left side, that little sea fan, that yellow sea fan, is a bright bit of color on what is completely a dead reef on the southern side of Saipan. And it was just such a stark contrast. You know, we had to take a picture of it. But 6 years before, that reef was colorful. So it's like, here's the last bit of color on the reef. You know, it's pretty, and yet when you understand the background, it's actually pretty sad. And on the right side there, you see a picture. They were both taken at the same spot from slightly different angles in that upper part of the neck of the dinosaur of Saipan in a spot called Bird Island. And the top one, you can see the scuba diver in the background. And it's hard underwater because colors do get a little bit washed out, but that's a living reef. You can see there's a bit of a pyramid-shaped coral in the background there next to the diver. If you look at the lower photo, you can see that pyramid-shaped coral again in the background, and you can see in the foreground, that's that same branching Acropora coral that you see in the photo above, but now it's just brown and it's covered with filamentous macroalgae. And so here we had a shot from almost the same spot, 6 years apart. And in one, if you have a little bit better understanding of what you're seeing and you're looking at a little bit better picture, you have a bunch of living corals everywhere. And then the other one, you just have a bunch of upright structure, and all of the tissue and the living corals are gone. And so in 2018, we basically got out of the water after like 30 dives around the island, and just wanted to cry in our masks because we'd seen so much loss. And we realized, we needed to go through this process and come up with these resilience maps and integrate this information into the types of science we were doing. But we also knew that wasn't going to be enough. Just counting dead things doesn't really get you anywhere. And frankly, people were getting tired of hearing about it. So we needed to be a little bit more proactive and find a better way forward, to use our energy, not just to be counting things, but to actually doing more